Welcome back, adventurers, to Let's Play Sentinels of the Multiverse. In the previous video, Tempest and his allies were finally able to defeat Grand Warlord Voss in a battle in the ruins of Atlantis. Meanwhile, the remainder of the Freedom Five worked together with Earth's military to deal with Voss's outpost on Mars, and have reclaimed the Wagner Mars base in the name of the human race. But we have one more villain left in the core set of Sentinels of the Multiverse, but before we get to that, I will just show you all the villains. These are all the villains that are available at the moment, and we will be getting to them in turn. But the final villain in the Sentinels of the Multiverse core set is Omnitron. Now, interestingly enough, in the actual card game, Omnitron actually has a difficulty of 1. However, due to the addition of the challenge rules, Omnitron has a difficulty of 2, as you can see. Now, here is Omnitron's villain bio, as per the official rulebook. The XK9000 Alpha, invented as part of a mechanization think tank at the renowned robotics corporation Aldred Industries, was originally constructed and programmed to be a fully automated defense technologies factory which would autonomously design and fabricate military-grade robots. Its purpose was to receive and pass defense contracts, then formulate an optimal robotic solution. However, following its initial power-up sequence, the robotics factory quickly upgraded itself, gaining a form of sentience, and determining that the surest way to preemptively solve any potential defense contracts was to root out the source of the problem, the human race. Designating itself Omnitron, the factory converted itself into a mobile attack unit and began laying waste to the nearest population and technological centers. Now there you can see Omnitron as a mobile attack facility and robotics center, and there is Omnitron in its mobile form as an attacking robot. And the city that Omnitron is attacking, well, it's good old Megalopolis. So the team we're going to be taking is Bunker and Legacy. Bring along Haka, and might as well bring back Super Scientific Tachyon and Absolute Zero, because we haven't brought back Absolute Zero for the last few videos. The last couple of videos, I believe. Offensive Programming Online, Destroy Humans. Well, it's a good thing that the hero leading the charge against the sentient homicidal robot is a mechanized warrior in and of himself. Now, Omnitron works very differently to the other villains, but of course you would have already known that. Omnitron starts out as a self-aware robotics factory. However, he does flip every turn to a rampaging robot. When Omnitron is a robotics factory, at the end of his turn he gets to manufacture one drone or component card from his deck. And when he is the rampaging robot, he gets to reclaim some. He gets to play another card from the top of his deck anyway, even if regardless of whether it's a drone or component card. Now, interestingly, when Omnitron can be destroyed, however, if he has any devices in play, the heroes cannot win. So if Omnitron has any drones or other things, components in play or so on and so forth, or maybe not components, but definitely drones and other such devices, if they're still active, even after Omnitron has been destroyed, we have to deal to them in turn. Let's see, Bunker doesn't have a great starting hand. Legacy has Inspiring Presence and Surge of Strength. Haka actually has quite a few useful cards there. Haka shielding and rampage can be useful if you use it right. Tachyon has a fleet of foot, nice, and Absolute Zero has a one of his modules in play, and he has an installation card. So there, Omnitron is now the rampaging robot, and he puts a S-83 assault drone, which deals damage equal to the number of drones. And there is a repair drone, which heals Omnitron for the amount of drones in play. So because there are 2 drones, the assault drone dealt Haka 3 damage, and the robot will heal Omnitron for 3, but Omnitron is already at max health with 100 health at the moment. Might throw out a heavy plating first and use initialize. Very good. Auxiliary supply and adhesive foam grenade, which we definitely want to be using a Megalopolis as soon as possible, because we don't want paparazzi on the scene or hostage situation to come out, because those 2 cards will definitely cripple us in our efforts to go on the offensive against Omnitron. And Legacy, being the team leader that he is galvanizing the team once again. And Haka obviously cannot resist attacking everything in sight, because he's Haka and he loves dealing damage. So he's going to break the both of the drones and also try and break Omnitron. Unfortunately, he's gotten a little carried away, and he's going to hit each of us for quite a bit of damage because of Galvanize and Inspiring Presence. Calm down, Haka. Take a breath. There we go. His rampages ceased for the time being, but he also gets to punch Omnitron again for 4. Like Baron Blade, Omnitron is a fairly straightforward villain as far as villains go. The drones are annoying, but they aren't really that dangerous. It's really when Omnitron starts manufacturing components that the difficulty actually ramps up a bit. And everyone is drawing some cards, and there's a little bit of slowdown there. I don't know what happened. Tachyon might use Quick Insight to get another Hypersonic Assault, Nimble Strike, and Pushing the Limits, and get rid of a couple of cards. Probably get rid of Nimble Strike and Supersonic Assault. Oh, Response, sorry. And now she's going to use the power of Experiment, see if she can net herself anything useful. No dice. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. You have to buck the odds. Might as well get the null calibration unit into play. And we're just getting so many module installations right about now. Throw out the calibration unit. I should probably have thrown out the isothermic transducer, but I'm not too worried about that right now. There's a cold snap for Absolute Zero. But now it's Megalopolis' turn, and impending casualty because Omnitron is attacking the city. All we have to do is decide which card Bunker can get rid of his decommissioned hardware. to get rid of impending casualty. Of course, if a targeting innocence comes into play, that will be rather unfortunate. Oh, terraforming cards. So sorry, Omnitron. No environments for you. Of course, he does get to play one drone from his trash, and he gets to heal 2 health. Bunker is going to deal some serious justice in the form of a grenade launcher, because it's fairly useful. And he's going to deal some more damage to Omnitron and not hurt any of us in the process. Ammo drop, which will be really useful whenever we cripple any of could use superhuman difficulty. Yeah, ammo drop will be useful when we destroy Omnitron's drones or his components, because then Bunker can draw cards. Don't want to play Surge, well, might just play Surge of Strength for the moment, just in case Legacy decides to draw something that will actually deal damage, because right now he's not much of a damage dealer at the moment. And that has not changed. Fortunately, Hako is going to wield the mighty Taiaha and deal Omnitron some more damage. Yeah, Omnitron's fairly easy to break as a villain, but his components certainly leave a lot to be desired. It's about pushing the limits, and a hypersonic assault against Omnitron so he doesn't deal damage next round. And Tachyon is now going to experiment on Legacy to see if he has anything useful. And he does not. There was a back fist strike. We could have used that, but instead it's going to the trash. Sucker Punch, good for weaker minions, and another pushing the limits in case we want to get rid of the that one. Might as well use the power of fire to deal cold damage to Omnitron. There we go. Now let's see if Megalopolis... Nope, it's deciding to help us for the time being. Police backup, which is always helpful when invading villains are prowling around. Oh, technological singularity. Oh, you swine. Yep, all our equipment is gone. And Bunker, Hako, and Absolute Zero are going to take a shitload of damage. And if things weren't bad enough... Actually, no. We didn't take damage because of hypersonic assault, but still, we lost all our equipment. But I think we'd rather keep the environment from doing something that will hurt us in the next round. And an external combustion and a heavy plating, which will be very handy, but we do need to get rid of that subroutine. Legacy will use superhuman durability to reduce damage dealt to him, and Legacy has been drawing danger sense, which isn't actually that useful right about now. Let's see. Hako might as well use the Hako of Battle to try and deal as much damage to Omnitron as possible, getting rid of most of these cards except for the huckers of restoration and shielding, because they're actually quite useful. So Hucker will deal another 8 damage. It's very good to have a legacy on the team, but unfortunately Omnitron is now immune to melee damage. And Omnitron is now immune to can now deal damage, except gonna prevent him from dealing damage again with another hypersonic assault, which renders him immune to sonic damage. And Tachyon is now going to use a research grant. Net herself a fleet of foot and a synaptic interruption, and get rid of the sucker punch. Because we want as many options available to us as possible, and there's a light speed barrage, which will come in fairly handy. Throw out a cold snap. Could have played the another module installation, but not right now. But Omnitron is now immune to the projectile damage thanks to police backup. Yeah, fairly straightforward, and so we don't take any damage, but all of our hero ongoing cards are now gone. So not only does he destroy environment cards, he destroys, well, everything. Ongoing cards, environment cards, and equipment cards. So Omnitron isn't that tough, but he is very, very annoying, and he can disrupt us by a lot. But Bunker is going to use external combustion to deal some fiery damage to Omnitron. Someone actually mentioned in one of the Sentinels forums that they had hoped for a complete villains collection of cards, because all the heroes have had a complete 5th anniversary foil collection. So it'd be interesting to see if the hero. I know the villains have the oversized cards, but they're not the 5th anniversary cards. Interestingly enough, the oversized villain cards actually look the way that the cards do in the Sentinels of the Multiverse, the video game. And Haka is going to use one of his Haka of shielding and get rid of one of his Savage Manas, and his actually no, he's just going to get rid of one of them to reduce the next damage, the next 2 damage dealt to him. And so if we keep changing up our attacks, we should get around the subroutine, which seems to be working for the time being. Play Push the Limits, and then Fleet of Foot. Actually, that doesn't really work, because Omnitron is now immune to melee damage, which means that I can't use Lightspeed Barrage, unfortunately. But well, I guess we can use another Hypersonic Assault against Omnitron to keep him from dealing any damage. Tachyon is now going to experiment with Bunker and see what cards he has at the bottom of his nope. Nothing useful. So sad. We get an Accelerated Assault and a Nimble Strike. Recently you may have noticed that the Villains of the Multiverse expansion, which is the next expansion from in the other expansion being Vengeance, which is the new villain style gameplay of Sentinels of the Multiverse, which the normal gameplay is instead of fighting just one villain, you have to fight a villain that has a whole bunch of not just minions but allies as well, and these allies have their own nemesis, just in case. And there's a hostage situation, which I did not want out right about now. That kind of thwarts my plans a little bit here. Unfortunately, we have plenty of cards in order to get rid of it, but and there's a component. There's Disintegration Ray, which at the start of Omnitron's turn he deals 6 energy damage. But the interesting thing to note about component cards is that when each component card breaks if Omnitron is dealt 7 or more damage in one round, which is quite a handy feature. So we want to deal as much damage to Omnitron as possible. Unfortunately, we can't do anything with the cards in our hands thanks to the annoying card known as Hostage Situation, but we can still use powers in the cards that we have, which hopefully should be enough. Haka can't do anything except punch a drone. Actually, do we want to break the drone, or do we want to actually deal some damage so that we can actually, because he's going to get the drone anyway. We'll try and deal 7 damage to him so that we can actually break the Disintegration Ray. Yeah, Tachyon will keep pushing the limits in play now that it does any good, because although she should be able to get around it with the Experiment. And she has Sonic Vortex. Two Sonic Vortexes at this point. So we'll destroy the drone and hit Omnitron, which will break the Disintegration Ray. And unfortunately the other Sonic Vortex will be completely useless because of the subroutine, because Omnitron is now immune to sonic damage. But that's okay. It's Absolute Zero's turn. He can't play cards, but he can still use the Isothermic Transducer to deal some cold justice. Not a very exciting round, but now we can deal with Hostage Situation. Should actually be in the clear. Bunker can get rid of an ammo drop. Legacy can get rid of one of his danger sensors. Haka can get rid of a Restoration Haka. Tachyon can lose one of her Accelerated Assaults, which will go towards Lightspeed Barrage. And Absolute Zero can lose the Sub-Zero Atmosphere. Oh good, it's a plummeting monorail, which will hit the 2 highest non-environment targets for 5 damage at the start of the next environment turn. There's a electromagnetic rail cannon, but it's not going to do anything because we're going to try and break Omnitron and his new toy before he can actually use it. How can we do that? Well, with external combustion, of course. Gotta love Bunker's versatility in these situations, and he's burning the train. Because that's how you save a city, by burning a train. There's a Gatling gun, which is kind of useful, and a third auxiliary power source, just in case we need so many card draws. Probably want to hold off on playing, on using Haka to punch Omnitron this turn. So we'll adjust that legacy, allow everyone to draw cards, and use the power of Galvanize to increase our damage. Still haven't actually found a way to get rid of the subroutine, which is most annoying, so Haka instead will just take his might out on the train. And there's a vitality surge there. Yes, against my better judgment, going to use pushing the limits that one time, even though I could have played the other pushing the limits in my hand. Tachyon has 7 burst cards in her hand, and her trash, so she can deal enough damage to get rid of the electromagnetic railgun. Nice. And might as well throw out a synaptic interruption for good measure. Now let's see if Bunker has anything useful. Oh, he gets a Gatling gun and another grenade launcher. Though we can't do that. Oh no, he gets put into play because the other one was destroyed, thanks to Omnitron's technological singularity. And there's blinding speed that we actually need to get rid of the subroutine, so that we don't have to keep having him be immune to certain types of damage. With the focused apertures, Absolute Zero can deal even more damage. Not a very threatening villain, to say the least. However, there are going to be some much harder villains, and both Haka and Legacy got hit by the plummeting monorail. Cramped quarters combat. That is not good, because well, kind of good for us, but kind of not, because all damage is now melee, and damage gets increased by 1. And Omnitron is rampaging, so he gets another plating subroutine. Life is so unfair. Oh. Bunker is immune to melee damage. So, Bunker might as well just get rid of the train before it deals any more damage. Which means that Haka can draw Savage Mana. Might as well just throw out another foam grenade, so the environment doesn't pull the rug out from under us. And Bunker's grenade launcher is useless because of CQC. As I said, really good card when it counts, but not so good card. And Bunko is going to get rid of one of his heavy platings to keep Gatling gun in play. And Legacy is going to throw out a Fortitude to reduce damage by 1 dealt to him. And could use the Savage Mana to deal some damage to the drone. Get rid of the drone and use Savage Mana. Savage Mana is an interesting card because whenever Haga destroys a target, he can put it beneath Savage Mana, and he can destroy all the cards beneath Savage Mana, and it deals one target X toxic damage, which is 2 times the number of cards destroyed. Unfortunately, everything is melee damage because, once again, CQC. And Tachyon is not going to take damage. Instead, she's going to play the other pushing the limits. And just going to get rid of one of the subroutines. But by getting rid of that one, the subroutine that we just got rid of, see if we can get lucky with Tachyon. Ooh, Fleet of Foot and Sucker Punch. Sucker Punch not that useful, but because we got rid of that first subroutine, Omnitron is now technically no longer immune to damage until we actually hit Omnitron. But we can actually play Lightspeed Barrage now, which will deal a grand 10 damage to Omnitron. And in the process make him immune to melee damage, and Sucker Punch is useless. Lightning Reflexes, not that useful, and another Blinding Speed so we can get rid of the other subroutine, which is exactly what I wanted to see. I'll throw out the Impale. Fortunately, CQC destroys itself at the start of the environment turn, which is incredibly handy, otherwise we'd be stuck with melee damage. And Haka gets to draw another Rampage. And Megalopolis can't pull a fast one on us thanks to Bunker's cleverly placed foam grenade. So Omnitron is almost beaten now. By no means as difficult as Voss or Dawn, but as I said before, some of the later villains, they will be much harder than both Voss and Dawn combined. But just remember what I told you, the even though we'll get rid of I'll get rid of one of the drones. We want to try and kill the drones first before we and as well as dealing with Omnitron, because if there were any devices in play such as drones and the like, Omnitron will still be a threat, and Omnitron is immune to projectile damage because of police backup. I keep forgetting these things. Another grenade launcher for our trouble, but we don't need it, so we'll discard it. and galvanizers have worn off for the time being, so Legacy is going to punch the drone for good measure. And he draws the same card, which comes in quite handy. There's a motivational charge. Let's see, could throw out a actually no, Hako is going to Hako is on a rampage right about now. So I think Hako can essentially end it. We get rid of as many cards as we can. Yeah, I know, a bit of a reckless move, but Hako is a tank, so no surprises there. And he's definitely not known for subtlety. So Hako deals another 10 damage. He's going to render Omnitron immune to melee damage, and not quite enough to finish him off, surprisingly. But he's down to 2 health now. There's another Hark of Battle. Not that he's going to need it. And Tachyon is not going to use that. And Tachyon is now going to use her blinding speed to get rid of the annoying subroutine plating. And experiment with Absolute Zero, because why not? And he has to discard both of those cards. Never mind. And so Absolute Zero can finally deal some damage with Impale and finish off Grand Warlord, finish off Omnitron. Now that Omnitron's destroyed and there are no devices in play, Megalopolis is saved. Fairly straightforward fight, if I do say so myself. And that was the final villain in the Sentinels of the Multiverse core set. In the next video we'll be taking on the first of the mini-pack villains, the elusive hunter known as Ambuscade. As always, I am the Dungeon Master. Until next we meet.